What's up, guys? Panther Nation, back at it again. This is the post game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game versus the Carolina Panthers in Tampa Bay. The long awaited post game stream that I've been trying to get to for a few days now. Um, I've been ready for the dust to settle on staff changes and injury status on Greg Olson, so that's why I was a little reluctant to put this stream out just yet. But here it is. And also, I was kind of reeling for the loss, too, because, you know, it's Tampa Bay, man. How do you lose to Tampa Bay? Like, literally, how? I'll tell you how defensively. And this one was once again on our secondary. They failed to step up. This one was also on Cam Newton. He had two interceptions today in that game. Um, but let's go position by position, and then I'll tell you about the staff changes that were made, and we'll discuss if it was enough to make a positive impact on the team going forward, and if we still have a shot at the playoffs. So let's go. Quarterback is a D plus. We're gonna jump right into this. Cam Newton threw two picks into double coverage. One of them technically wasn't his fault. It popped out of the wide receiver's hands and up in the air by, like, God knows how much hang time, right to the defender. So, you know, I still blame him because that was still double coverage, and he should not have thrown that ball. Uh, you got to make better reads. Simple as that. He wasn't pressured all that much, and he had the time to look around and find these receivers. Now, I'm not going to say it was totally on him because the wide receivers had trouble getting open the entire game against Buccaneers corners. Buccaneers corners. How do you have trouble getting open against Buccaneers corners? I don't understand that one. So that's why I give our wide receivers a B minus because the times that they did get open, they did catch the ball and they made positive gains. They got first downs. They moved the chains on a few of those drives. So I was pleased with that, but the amount of times that they got open, that's what I've got a problem with. Because we had trouble finding ways to get open on the Tampa Bay secondary. And when that happens, um, nobody wins on our offense. Nobody. Christian McCaffrey is the man we have to go to for check downs and easy running plays that'll get you 5 yards, but that's it. You know, where are our wide receivers? Half these drives, our wide receivers could not get open for the life of them. And I've been stressing this problem for the past like 4 or 5 weeks, maybe even 6 or 7. But they've been struggling to get open against these corners. Now, I will give them a break against veteran corners like Pittsburgh's and a couple of these other teams that we faced early on in the year. But when you've got Tampa Bay secondary men that are double coverage in these guys, you got to look away from that, Cam. You cannot throw into that double coverage, triple coverage, and expect to get a catch. You're not Tom Brady out there. I love you, but you're not Tom Brady by any stretch of the imagination or Matt Ryan. Your accuracy is not that good. It's pretty good, but it's not that good. And I'll say this because Norv Turner did up your accuracy by a good margin. between 65 to 70%, which is exactly what he intended to do. But the problem is, when you make stupid decisions where you throw it into double coverage, triple coverage, and even single coverage when it's just not there, it can lead to picks. And it did. And when you do that against an average to below average Tampa Bay secondary, come on, Cam. Really, dude? It wasn't even that the wide receivers were really having that much trouble in that game. Well, they were, but the problem is dumb decisions. So both of those kind of fed into each other there a little bit. You see how that happens every game. So, um, running back B plus, Christian McCaffrey is solid. He's always solid. He catches the ball, he runs, he gets yards after the catch. What do you want, right? What more do you want from him other than what he's already given you? Offensive line B minus. Now I was told about how offensive linemen. Well, how should I put this? I was taught about offensive linemen and what they're supposed to be doing, rather than just assigned to a player. So to block. So I apologize for all the times I got on Clark because I did not understand this. That is on me. So, Clark, you're off the hook, dude. Van Rotten, however, has supposed to be has supposed to help out Clark, in those situations, and that's how running backs a lot of the times end up having to block these defensive tackles and linebackers, because Van Rotten has not been picking up the pace. So, um, that being said, um, I will let Clark off the hook. Van Rotten, however, is now my main concern on the offensive line. So, my suggestion is because we have a left guard depth wise, we should probably plug him in and see how he does. Now, the majority of the game, Van Rotten does okay. So I'm trying to pinpoint when he starts struggling, and that would be the time to substitute. At least for a little bit, and then put him back in. That's my suggestion on that one. Um, just to see how the second stringer does, you know, and just to get all that bad play out of his system. So that being said, B minus for the line. We gave up a couple of sacks, but I mean it was to be expected. Tight end A minus. And Ian Thomas was pretty good. Um, I apologize for the sound that you hear behind me. It's thin walls in the house, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Ian Thomas did a great job filling in for Greg Olson. That is now on the IR for his foot injury again, and he's out for the rest of the season. So that sucks, man. That really sucks because we were really relying on him just as much as McCaffrey, in those clutch situations. So that's that's a hard injury to take right there. The good news is Dante Jackson's back, so that's good news, and he'll be back in. He and Bradbury will have things handled for the Browns game. I feel like they were just having a bad day because both of them were pretty solid for most of the year, and I don't. I'm still trying to figure out what actually happened with those two on Sunday because that's not usual for either one of them to start dropping the ball like that and start uh, you know struggling with coverages and tackling. That's not like them at all. So I don't know what happened there, but hopefully we figure it out soon and we get it corrected. Uh, Defensive end B plus. We got a much better pass rush, but not quite enough. Not quite enough. I mean, you're going up against the Tampa Bay offensive line that's a little bit below average, but not too much, you know? Because otherwise, Fitzpatrick would not have been able to complete some of the throws he did throughout the year. But uh, I feel like with the pass rush that we're putting out there, it was pretty decent. Uh, but we got a lot of work to do still. Mario Addison, Wes Horton, Julius Peppers looked good. So we got some work to do in that area. Defensive line B plus. We were able to stop the run up the middle of the draws. So that wasn't our problem today. Today meaning the game on Sunday. I keep doing that because I'm not used to doing these post game streams on Wednesdays, so please excuse me on that one. But yeah, that wasn't our problem on Sunday at all. We managed to stop those, but we did have some lazy tackling though. That was the problem. Lazy tackling and secondary was our problem. And as many of you have heard, Ron Rivera is going to take over the play calling defensively. That was announced on Monday. So hopefully uh, that fixes things. Um, along with the staff changes that I'm going to mention in a little bit too. But Eric Washington is now going to be in charge of the defensive line. Why is that relevant? Because he used to be a defensive line coach for 7 years in the system before he got promoted to defensive coordinator. Because of the recent defensive coordinators that have moved out of Carolina. So here's the deal. Cornerbacks D. I think we can all agree. Corners D. That was garbage play on Sunday. Bradbury was having a bad day. Dante Jackson was having a bad day. And they should not be beat by these Tampa Bay wide receivers that are a little bit above average, in my opinion. That's the read I got, when I was looking at Tampa Bay's wide receiver core. Watching them before they played us, too. So, free safety and strong safety, C. Both positions. Mike Adams made some tackles, but by the same token, he missed some, too. His coverage was a little bit below what we want, and it was average at best. And Eric Reed missed some tackles as well. He took some bad angles. Just the fundamentals. The fundamentals. That's what we're lacking. It's the fundamentals. If we can get those fixed, I think we can get things back in order. And with these staff changes, I'm hoping that's enough to do something. Special teams B minus. Graham Gano made his field goal. He made his extra points. He was not the problem on Sunday. Now, yes, he did leave some points on the board this year, but was he the problem on Sunday? No. So everybody get off his back this week. That was not on him. Now, I will say this. The two games before the Buccaneers was on Ron Rivera. That's my take on it. You guys can have your opinions on whatever you think is right, but his riverboating cost us two games against the Lions and this past one too. So before we put the Bucks, but the Buccaneers game was not his fault. I'll point that out. That was not his fault. So, uh, so Greg Olson torn ligament, done for the year. Same foot. He's had a surgery on that foot for two or three times, and I'm sure you all saw the interview. I think he he believes the same thing the trainer does. That foot is pretty much been through the ringer, and that's about all it's going to give. So that's a shame. I really love Greg Olson a lot. And I hate to see him go out without a ring, but that's how it is. You know, sometimes that happens, and great players go out without a ring. You know, Steve Smith went without a ring. Moose Muhammad. There were several other players I could name from the or 04 and 05 era that went out without a ring when they went to the Super Bowl and played the Pats. So, and they all deserved a ring. They all did that year. Steve Smith especially, after all the work that he and Moose put in. Man, those two deserved a ring more than anybody back then. But getting back to 2018, we're going to get into the staff changes here. Brady Hoke and Jeff Iwamura. Now, one of them, I believe, was an assistant coach for defensive line, and the other one was assistant coach for corners. I believe that's correct. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, if you would, please. But, yeah. Staff changes absolutely needed after that loss. I completely agree with that. And some of you may or may not have seen the message I left on the Facebook page to Mr. Tepper saying that he should be patient and not fire coaches just yet. You know, I can only protect Ron Rivera for so long. I've had my issues with him in the past 2 years too. You know, his timeout usages last year, absolute garbage. And then this year, his riverboating decisions, not happy with it. So I can only defend him for so much longer. So he better get his act together. The only reason I want him to stay for right now is because of the structure he's bringing to this team. Now, I've heard that Tepper is looking at Harbaugh down in Michigan, or up in Michigan, I should say, and also Coach McCarthy that the Packers just get let go of. I think it was. I think I'm right about that. Um, I could be mistaken though, but McCarthy's a solid coach, but I don't know that that's the best idea. And then there was that rumor mill about us looking at an old coach too, so I don't know what to think there either. You know, like I said, I'm still waiting for the dust to settle. You know, on who's getting interviewed and when, and how that process is going, how long that process would take, what would happen. You know, as a result of that process. So I'm waiting for the dust to settle, and we're going to see something next year probably on that front. But the, there is that Bleacher Report thing that where Tepper is not happy with our 4-game losing streak. Regardless, none of our fans are either. None of the coaches are either. The players, nobody. So, you know, there are some people that say where there's smoke, there's fire. We'll see. We'll see what comes out of it. I'm not in a hurry to fire a coach. You know, I think Norv Turner is safe. Um, Ron is safer now, but Eric Washington, I cannot defend. So after what's been happening with our defense, I cannot defend him. So I I'm just as happy throwing him under the bus if you're gonna fire one of the three. That's fine with me because the majority of the fans want him gone anyway, and I don't see any reason why he should stay. So he hasn't really proven it why he should stay with all that talent on the field. So, players I would like to see gone in the offseason is Captain Munderland, obviously, for obvious reasons. Greg Van Rotten, Golden. Golden was awful. He got burnt toasty several times by wide receivers this year in in the 2 games that he played in. I think he just I think he put in 2. If memory serves. If memory serves, guys. That's the thing. Like, you got to remember, I'm doing this post stream video on Wednesday, so I don't know for sure. And Dontari Poe. That was the biggest waste of money besides Captain Munderland that we picked up this year. Biggest waste of money. He hasn't done absolutely anything up until this game against the Buccaneers. He's gotten maybe 2 or 3 tackles, I think, but that was about it. He hasn't done anything besides that. I will say this positively about our defense. We did do a good job of closing off the edge a little bit better in the Bucks game, but we still got a lot of work to do. These sweep plays are just killing us. These swing passes are killing us. We've got to step up. We've got to recognize that those plays are happening and move up out of our coverage. Defensive players out of coverage to handle those. I've watched that for way too long this year, and it's bothering me. It really is. We just watched the ACC championship game where Clemson was closing off the outsides left and right. They had that issue too, but they figured it out. They figured out how to stop that. Now, if they can figure out how to stop it in our building, why can't we figure it out in our own building? That's what I'm trying to figure out. You know what I mean? Like, that's how championship teams are made. When you figure out how to fix problems that are existing for 2 or 3 weeks at a time and figure out how to stop it right in the clutch playoff time, that's how you start to make yourself into a playoff team and worthwhile of going after a trophy. We still have not done that yet. We are still struggling with tackling. We're still struggling with coverage. We're still struggling with laziness. We're still struggling with just overall motivation on the field and discipline. Where's the discipline? I don't know. Y'all help me out with that one. But I'm a little bit disgusted with that. But somehow we are still, by God's green earth, we are still in this wild card race. I don't ask me how, but we still are. You know, Seattle and the Vikings have to play each other. One of them's got to win, one of them's got to lose, so they're both going to sit up there for a week longer, which means we need to get a win over the Browns. That needs to happen in order for us to stay in. Seattle has to play Kansas City uh, later on in their schedule, so it is possible that Seattle could lose that game. Very possible. Uh, I'm thinking the Vikings will probably still stay in, so they'll occupy the other spot. But if any wildcard team besides us gets hot, they could claim the other spot. So we have to keep winning. Well, I shouldn't say that. We have to get a win over the Browns. We have to at least get that in order to stay in. In order to claim a spot, we got to beat the Falcons to be considered heavy favorites for a spot. We still got tiebreaker teams that have beat us, and we have a couple of tiebreakers too. We beat the Eagles early on, so that's a tiebreaker. We should have beaten the Redskins, so that should have been a tiebreaker. So this is where tiebreakers come into play here. But somehow, by the grace of God, we are still in it. And it frustrates me because we're past the point of either tanking or going to the playoffs, fighting for a wild card spot. You know what I mean? Like, we're past that point where we have to make a decision. We have to either do one or the other. We can't just sit at 8-8 and just kill our draft. But at the same time, we can't just not try for the playoffs and try to get 9-6. You know what I mean? Like, this is tough for me, man. I'm still on the fence on this one, but we'll see what happens against the Browns. Do we want to tank or do we want to go for it? We're sitting at the point where we can either go 9-6 or we can go 6-10. What do you? We can either go 9-7 or we can go, yeah. My brain's not working right now with numbers. Sorry, guys, but yeah, that's where we're at. We have we have to decide right now, this week, are we going for the playoffs or are we tanking? We have to do it. One or the other. With this crazy year, I'm not discounting the fact that we could get in, but the chances of it are very, very slim. I'm not going to lie to you. Tiebreakers are going to be a heavy, heavy factor in that. So, that being said, I think we've covered everything. Just as a little bit of a bonus for this live stream, Kelvin Benjamin got released by the Bills, and yeah, I think we all remember the Monday night comment about he's just one Bojangles biscuit away from being a tight end. Glorious, man. I was reading some of the messages and comments and stuff on Facebook. You guys are savages. That is great. That's good stuff. That had me entertained for at least 15 minutes before this stream, man. Like, I love it. I love it. Keep them coming. Anyway, that should cover it for this week. I will see you guys in the pregame stream for the Cleveland Browns game. Uh, do remember to hit that like button if you like the live stream. If you are new here, please sub and hit that bell so you don't miss any new live streams. And if you're interested in my Instagram or Twitter, Shadow Warrior 645. That's Shadow Warrior with one W 645. And also on Facebook, I do live stream gaming every week, pretty much every day. So I take days off every once in a while, depending on my schedule. So if you guys feel like checking that out, add me at Corey McDaniel on Facebook in Greenville. So thank you guys very, very much for watching. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day slash night slash whenever you're watching this live stream. And I will see you guys later. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think of what I've said and of my opinions. I know they can get a bit crazy, but hey, what can I say? I'm one of the most unpopular opinions in the fan group, but most of the time I'm right. So I don't mean to blow myself up, but that's how I feel. So and when I'm wrong, it benefits the team. So I will see you guys later. Have a good one. Remember, we're a family. Treat each other like it. Represent yourselves well as a franchise, as a team. And I will see you guys later. Always remember to keep pounding. Peace, guys.